Cortes, researcher at Northeastern University, and I'm going to talk today about jurisdictional arbitrage in network path selection. So our research focuses on both network path selection, for example, over an anonymous communications network like Tor, and looking at legal aspects related to the countries and sovereign nations that traffic passes through. So some of the things that we do that I'll talk about are quantifying risk that assumes a threat model of government intelligence agencies, using legal and technical data and data sets that are publicly available for the majority of the ISO 3166 countries, to assess the hostility of each country to internet traffic. Also building a complete graph of MLAT mutual legal assistance treaties, which are known as MLATs, between countries to try to identify countries' ability to do cross-border intelligence gathering. We also develop metrics to quantify the ability of adversarial global government intelligence agencies to gather that surveillance, and then we incorporate the metrics into path selection algorithm. So when we started to look at this, there are a number of individuals and groups that have informally tried to characterize trust in anonymous network communications by assigning informal values to elements like relays. So what we tried to do is to look more systematically at large data sets that are applicable across all countries or the majority of relevant countries that can attempt to inquire as to whether it's really possible to characterize relays and elements in different countries by trust. So some of the metrics that we found that qualified as being available across a large cross-section of ISO 3166 countries are takedown notices, which I'm sure you're familiar with and have become much more available in recent years. So we used a number of these. We also looked at censorship data, which we found from the UNI project. A lot of good, interesting data from that spans across different countries. And for evidence of surveillance, we created a database of lawful intercept laws and data retention laws. And then we also used information from data sources like Bug Planet for what countries are known to have purchased or been using Finfisher-type Trojans to perform surveillance on their own citizens. So these were the hostility factors in data sets that we used across all the countries to create what we called hostility scores by country to anonymous network traffic. And then we also used a database that we created of mutual legal assistance treaties that basically creates a web among all countries of who is helping who to perform intelligence and other tasks like that on each other's countries. Here are some of the results that we got from looking at these different factors. So we have listed the top countries where Tor relays can be found, the percentage and numbers, percentage bandwidth, and percent of Tor users. Then we look at the lawful intercept law column. You'll see which ones have lawful intercept laws and data retention laws. And then what percentage of combined takedown requests can be assigned and attributed to these countries. And finally, in the last column, the number of mutual legal assistance treaties executed and enforced by these countries. What we find here are the hostility score results. So I want to explain our methodology is that we used the Tor path selection simulator created by Aaron Johnson, Rob Jansen, and Pat Syverson to run millions of simulated Tor circuits. And then we looked at the results of where that network traffic passed, through which countries and which sovereign nations. This gives a summary of country hostility scores and shows that many countries identified by ISO 3166 standard actually don't have any hostility factors at all because they don't have any data retention laws. They're not known to have enough money to install any surveillance equipment, and they are not reported to have any takedown requests by any of the major countries. So this sort of shows a CDF of the distribution of country hostility scores. These are the top countries by hostility score, and I want to emphasize that we're not presenting that these metrics present a perfect methodology to view trust and risk across countries, but merely that this is the data that we found to be publicly available to create a trust system. So you see, not surprisingly, the U.S. at the top with the highest hostility score, a number of the usual suspects down through the top list, and then a sample of some of the medium hostility scores. This shows a CDF of circuit risk against all adversaries and against specific adversaries. So I'll just wrap it up. We discovered that for a number of users, their traffic passes through countries that have a higher risk of surveillance than the country from which they're originating.